What's up, guys? HeroHei here, talking about Eren and Mikasa once again. Got very good reception on the last video I made on their relationship, but there were some comments from people regarding some major misconceptions that they had. So I'm going to be clearing all that up for you right now. No manga cuts, no anime cuts, nothing like that. Just me to you. Mano y mano. Well, I guess that'd be man to man. So if you're a woman, go ahead and type in the comments below. Let me know you're a girl, and I'll take a look at your comments. And okay, that sounded a little bit creepy. Forget that. Forget that. Let's just get into the stuff. So this is going to be a really exciting video. I'm excited to share all this information I found on their relationship for you guys. Doing a lot of research here. Really quick, let me tell you how I'm going to break this down. So I'm going to cover what Izuyama said about Mikasa and Eren. Izuyama obviously being the creator of Attack on Titan. Hopefully you should know that. Then I'm going to cover a very brief segment on mothering in Japan, and then we're going to go into Eren himself, his changes throughout the years, and how that has affected his relationship with Mikasa. That's going to be the bread and butter of this video, and that's the most exciting part. So that's going to cover up most of it, and then I'll kind of give a little TLDR at the end. So with that said, let's talk about Izuyama really quick. So a lot of people have been mentioning the quote that Izuyama said in an interview about how Eren views Mikasa more as a mother figure than a romantic interest. The first thing you guys have to realize about that quote is the context. That interview was done way back in Volume 3. Just in case you don't know, Volume 3 of Attack on Titan was way back when Eren was first devoured by the Santa-looking Titan when he saved Armin. So that was a very, very old quote, and a lot has changed since then. So really, that quote is basically irrelevant. It's not so relevant anymore. But if you do want to kind of have even more proof to that, I can provide that as well. So some statistics about mothering in Japan, really quick, like 30 seconds we'll go over this. So like two main things about mothering in Japan. Mothers in Japan tend to view their children initially as disconnected from the family, and they need to be swayed into complete dependence on their mother. So this is absolutely not the case, because Mikasa was not even a part of Eren's family. She was adopted into it. So already that negates like a huge factor of Mikasa being a mother role to Eren. It's literally impossible for that to be the case because she was adopted into the Jaeger family. And another point, Japanese babies become masters at restricting their emotions and waiting until their needs are met by their mother to show emotions. Absolutely not the case for Eren. As a matter of fact, Eren is the complete opposite of that. Eren will go out on his own. He's a very fiery personality type of guy. Even when he was a kid, he was like a fiery personality, getting into fights, disobeying his mother, his actual mother, disobeying, you know, his friends, Armin and Mikasa, disobeying authority when you have Hans there telling him like not to fight and stuff like that, even though Hans sometimes instigated that stuff, but that's beside the point. So those are like main, very, very big stereotypes of mothering in Japan, and Mikasa and Eren's relationship just defies both of those. The next thing I want to mention really quick before we get into the facts about Eren and his development as a character and his relationship with Mikasa and how it's developed throughout the years. The last thing I want to mention is how some people say that Eren and Mikasa, if they get together, it's incest. They aren't related by blood, guys. That's not incest at all. Mikasa was adopted into the family. She's an Ackerman. Eren is a Jaeger. They are not related at all. They are not related by blood at all. So it's not incest. Not even close. I don't know why you thought it was, those of you who think it is, but hopefully you don't think that's the case now, because it's not. Now, let's get into the really, really good stuff. So we're going to take a look at Eren's character growth throughout the years. So back when we had 9-year-old Eren, or before his mother was killed, you could say, Eren was a loud and obnoxious kid, but he was kind-hearted. And as you know, he would do like anything he could for his friends. He was always looking out for them, helping them. He was getting into fights maybe a little bit too often for them. Even when they asked him not to fight, he would still do it. He'd end up getting his ass kicked most of the time, and that would result in Mikasa coming by and saving him. And this would happen again and again and again. And that's sort of how this whole stereotype with Mikasa having a motherly role started, because Mikasa would constantly be protecting him. She'd constantly be by his side, looking out for him. But this is also an Eren that Mikasa very much liked. Mikasa has even stated herself that she wishes sometimes that things could go back to these days. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean that she's talking specifically about Eren and Mikasa having that relationship. It could also be taken as the days before the wall was breached and, you know, all chaos broke loose because of the Colossal Titan, the Armored Titan, and all this stuff before they joined the Scouting Legion. It was basically more peaceful times. But in the end, this was definitely a time where Mikasa and Eren started the relationship between them. It started to develop. Now, fast forward a bit to the breaching of the wall and, you know, the Smiling Titan devouring Eren's mother and all this stuff. So after this, Eren lost his carefree personality, and he became entirely consumed by anger. You could even say he has PTSD at this point. He's still overconfident, and he still gets in fights too often, but he gets in fights that he still loses. Even Hans admits this in Season 2, when we see him say to Mikasa that Eren continually gets in fights that he loses, but he's stubborn as hell, and he will continue to fight no matter what. So the stereotype with Mikasa protecting Eren lasts throughout all these years. Even after Eren trains as a scout, even after Eren gets his shifting powers, he still relies on Mikasa to bail him out time and time again. And Eren wishes he didn't rely on her. This is where he kind of has this defiance. Perhaps this is why some people also say it's a bit of a motherly role. As you know, stereotypically, kids will rebel against their parents. And Eren wishes to kind of break away from relying on Mikasa so much. He doesn't like how he's so reliant on her. He wants to be able to just kick ass by himself, which is totally reasonable. It really is. It's a totally reasonable thing to do. And that really has nothing to do with their romantic relationship at all. So let's move on now to Chapter 50. I was trying to see if there's any more info I wanted to cover before then, but I think I kind of covered up most of the important stuff. So after Chapter 50, that is going to be manga Chapter 50, obviously, but that's also in the anime Season 2, Episode 12. That is basically, as you could say, the finale of Season 2, where we see this major change in Eren. From this point on, Eren's relationship with Mikasa takes an entirely different route. Now, I don't want to get into any spoilers because I want to keep this anime friendly, so I'm not going to go into too many details. And to be honest, there's really not that many details in the manga that would really make this a spoiler anyways. But don't worry about spoilers, there is none. There's none, really. But the point is, after this point in the show, Episode 12, Season 2, manga Chapter 50, Eren finally obtains the powers that he needs to protect Mikasa and move away from his self-reliance on her. At this point in time, Eren and Mikasa are the closest to equals that they have ever become before, and this will allow their relationship to flourish more than it ever has before. This is something that Eren has wanted his entire life since he met Mikasa. He has always wanted to be there for her, and granted, he did save her once, but part of that was because of her own abilities, as well as she ended up killing the kidnapper that was going to kill Eren. So even when Eren was saving her all the way back then, she still ended up saving him. So, you know, you gotta take it with a grain of salt, right? How he saved her, which, you know, he did, but you know what I mean. I'm not gonna repeat myself. So now they're pretty much on equal terms. At this point in time, right before Eren activated his coordinate powers, in Episode 12, in manga Chapter 50, he had a flashback to what his mother said to him about Mikasa. And his mother, what that quote was his mother saying, "Don't you wish that you could protect Mikasa yourself?" Because, as I mentioned, this was a point in time when Mikasa was still protecting him nonstop, bailing him out of fights, helping him not get his ass kicked. And this is obviously something that he really does wish, because right before he stands up and protects Mikasa, he has that flashback. So that was obviously there for a reason. Izuyama obviously had that flashback occur so that we could really reflect on how much his relationship with Mikasa has grown and how he's finally ready to protect her rather than constantly being protected by her. So he now at this point understands that Mikasa doesn't think of him as simply helpless, and that Mikasa does just genuinely want to be by his side. It's not that Mikasa wanted to always be by his side simply because she felt he was helpless and couldn't take care of himself. It's because she really does just want to be there with him. And at this point in time, as the manga progresses, once again, I don't want to spoil anything, and there's not like, their relationship doesn't like completely, they don't completely have a romantic relationship even at the current point in the manga, but I will say that there are subtle hints dropped throughout the manga that shows how Eren finally cares more about the things going on around him than simply revenge, than simply having this anger towards the Titans. He has a more greater understanding of the concepts around him, how it affects people, especially how it affects Mikasa. And that's all I'm going to say because I don't want to spoil anything. But there is merit in what I said, and that's even shown in the anime, even in the finale, from that simple little wonderful beautiful scene that we had of Eren standing up, activating his powers and protecting Mikasa. So that's like a huge analysis on Eren's character. That's, like I said, the bread and butter of this video. The little ending TLDR is that at the end of the day, Attack on Titan is not a romance manga. Romance overall does take a very backseat role in the show. You have Eren and Mikasa, you have Historia and Krista, and then you have a little bit of other fun ships, but those are like the two main kind of like romantic-esque relationships that we have. And it's an action anime, really, and it's an anime with a lot of theorizing and speculating, and romance, once again, is not like the main thing. So you're not going to have like chapters of romance. It's going to be subtle hints dropped throughout the anime, throughout the manga, here and there, and it's up to the viewer to interpret this and put it all together. But I think, well, let me put it this way. I hope you enjoyed this video. I'm not going to start rambling now because I think I did a pretty good job of not rambling like I usually do throughout this whole video. So I don't want to butcher that now. Let me just thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this, give a thumbs up. If you're not subscribed, consider subscribing. Love to hang out with you again. That's it, guys. That's it for today. I'll catch you next time.